Hello everybody, this is the Starving Martian, and today I am very pleased to be able to bring you this look at the Mars Attacks Supreme Commander 12-inch figure from 1996. This guy was put out by Trendmasters, and it is quite the thing here, isn't it? Okay, you could probably tell looking at it, this guy was designed not so much off of the Mars Attacks movie, but off of the Topps comic book series that was ongoing at the time. And there's a few dead giveaways. It's got his little logo right here, which comes from the comics. The shape and color of the head are from the comics as well. The shape, at least, they weren't quite as green. Um, Also, you see his purple outfit. Um, just as a comparison, this is what a similar figure would have looked like from the movie line. This is the Martian Ambassador. He's already got his own video. So click on my name, Starving Martian. If you haven't found that video yet, it'll be under Martian merchandise. But we'll compare the two of their faces in a little bit. But this guy I've had for a few years. I actually found him at a thrift store. He cost me like $2. And coming from a thrift store, his electronics didn't work. There's a button which you can plainly see right over here, and I figured you push that, it's supposed to make some noises, and it didn't. And put in fresh batteries, still wouldn't work. But I said, oh well, that's fine. In fact, when you look at this guy on the internet, if you find one on eBay or Amazon, the only accessory he comes with that I could tell is some kind of laser gun, and so I didn't feel like I was missing out too much. It cost me like $2.50, I think, and these guys tend to go for about $35. So figured it was a good deal and didn't need them to make noises anyway. But recently, when I did the review of the Mars Attacks Doom Saucer, which again is on my playlist if you missed that. The box for the Doom Saucer has this little blurb. It says, collect the entire Mars Attack Strike Force. You'll find an entire squadron of action figures with evil voices and firing weapons, super flex Martian figures, and a colossal commander with light up eyes, evil voice, and a throbbing brain. And I said to myself, okay, I need to see this Martian throbbing brain in action. So I took this guy apart and I cleaned everything out and tightened in some of the wires that were coming loose, and really gave him an inside overhaul, which is not something I usually do on these figures because I have no skills or ability that I'm aware of in that area, and I'd rather not mess them up more than they already are. But I've managed to get his electronics working, so we are going to hear his evil voice and see his light up face and throbbing brain. That will be fun, won't it? But before we do that, let's get in on some details and make a couple comparisons. Alright. Look at that face. Just look at that face. Now, there's a very nice line of 5-inch action figures as well for the Mars Attacks based on the Topps comics. But there's just something about these huge, clunky 12-inch figures that I just adore. They feel good in the hand, It's a nice, sturdy figure. They look great on a shelf from a distance. That logo again, we've seen that in the comics. We've seen that on some of the merchandise. It was on the Mars Attacks ray gun, the brain disintegrator. So here's his body. You can see his muscles sculpted on there. The red bit there on his crotch is not a button. Do not push it. He's got knee pads in case he falls down so he doesn't injure himself. That's very nice. Some boots going on. We turn him around, and we can see his battery pack doubles as his little tank there, which I guess means Martians breathe battery acid, which is pretty cool. I'm okay with that. Like the sculpting on the cape, it's this flexible plastic material. They were starting to use this in a lot of the capes and cloaks back in the 90s. I remember being a kid, I was kind of disappointed in that because I liked the cloth capes that came with my Batman figures, and these plastic ones were too rigid for me. That never been a big fan. But on this guy, not only does it look good, but it also helps him stand, which is always good. So here he is next to my 12-inch Star Wars Episode 1 C-3PO figure. So you get a sense of scale there. He's actually just a tiny bit taller, although that might be helmet. Yeah, okay, so those look pretty good together. And here he is again with the movie Martian Ambassador. Obviously two different scales, but when you hold them up and get close in on there, you could just see the two different looks they were going for. And I know people who prefer this look. I like the movie look only because it's also the original trading card look. So it captures the essence of the original trading card. I will admit his outfit's a lot bulkier, which again, harkens back to the 60s. If I had never seen either one of these before, I might prefer this guy because he's slick, he's slim, streamlined. He's more menacing. Check out them teeth. He's got them nasty dagger teeth going on there. Let me show you. This is the cover of Mars Attacks #1 from Topps Comics. So yeah, this is what this guy's kind of based off. You can see he's got the same red eyes, same dagger teeth. Alright, and so that's the inspiration for this toy. Alright, so now those electronics we talked about, what does his evil voice sound like? Well, let's move us in a little closer, shall we? Let's... Alright, Mr. Martian, what have you got to say? Really?
We come in peace. We come in peace.
Alright, those are his only two lines. I find it interesting that they gave him the "We Come in Peace" line, which is clearly from the movie, and yet they don't give him the movie's "ack, ack, ack," which is fair. They only say "ack, ack" in the movie. Not in the cards, not in any of the comics. There's no indication that Martian speak is anything like that. So I'm fine with him not saying "ack, ack," but the "We Come in Peace" line is kind of odd. But so you see his head lights up when he's doing that, and yes, his brain does throb. In fact, it kind of looks like his whole head bobs around a bit. You lose a little bit of detail. Let's get in a little bit closer and watch his brain throbbing. In fact, let's see what it looks like from the side, shall we? Nice Martian brain.
We come in peace. We come in peace.
Alright, and now, one more time, let's see it with the lights off.
We come in peace. We come in peace.
Alright, that'll haunt your nightmares. Okay, as far as posability goes on this guy, he's got swivel at the waist, which is kind of hindered by his cape, but if you lifted the cape out of the way, you could turn him all the way around if you wanted. His arms come up and down. Again, they'd go further back, but for the cape. Swivel at the wrist here. This arm has an extra swivel right about here. And I'm not sure why. I can only assume, though, it's for holding his weapon that I don't have. Same wrist swivel. And the legs can come up and down. But because of the bend of them, they don't really get any useful positions. Okay, the dome does not come off of his head. Some of these Mars Attacks figures do. But I figure because that's where the electronics and stuff are, they don't want, You're messing around his head. Plus, the head itself is probably made of a thinner plastic to allow for the brain throbbing action. And I never thought I'd get to say the words brain throbbing action. I love that. I'm going to say it again. Brain throbbing action. Oh, that's great. Alright, so yeah, they probably keep the dome firmly in place so that you don't accidentally, stick your little finger through it. But yeah, that's the Mars Attacks Supreme Commander. Now, like I said, he tends to run between $30, $40, a little higher. I've seen him go up to 50 online. I wouldn't pay more than 30 for him. I've seen him as low as 25. And he basically, this is what you get. This and a little plastic rifle, which I don't believe does anything. But he looks great on a shelf. If I didn't have him, I think he would be worth the money. I think I'd go ahead and buy him. But since I picked him up, like I said, used for like $250 or so, no sense in doing that. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this look at the Martian Supreme Commander. Being a Supreme Commander, he outranks our ambassador there. I believe this is the only toy of this size in that toy line. They did make the Martian Ambassador from the movie also in this size. And so there you go. If you need a giant Martian in your collection, and why wouldn't you? This is not a bad option. So guys, this has been the Starving Martian, bringing you a look at the Supreme Commander. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll catch up with you later. Keep watching the skies.